a toast with tomatoes and peaches. I am going to be using heirloom tomatoes just because they are in season and they're super sweet and delicious. So I just washed them. For my bread, I went to like 4 different grocery stores yesterday because they didn't have the type of bread that I wanted. But I really like to get, oh, it smells so good. I like to get artisanal bread that you slice yourself. That way you can do a thicker slice. Also, I just feel like it tastes better. It has more of an earthy, homemade flavor versus this regular toast just isn't as good with it. I mean, you can do it, but it won't be as good. So yeah, get yourself some good bread. This is like a whole grain sourdough loaf. I am going to round up the rest of my ingredients and get started. I'm going to slice up my tomatoes next. So I'm gonna cut these not super thick, but not super thin either, like this. Beautiful. If you're not a huge fan of tomatoes because they're pretty watery and runny, I have a trick for how to help with that. I'm gonna salt my tomatoes and then let them just meditate, hang out on the side. I put the tomatoes on a paper towel to let the excess water be drawn out of them, and they get seasoned, so it's a win-win situation. I just had a bit of a micro meltdown off camera because I can't find my bread knife. When I don't know where something is and it haunts me, I'm just gonna let it go. It triggers me. We're gonna improvise. To cut bread, you just usually need something that's serrated, so this will do. I'm gonna cut these about 3/4 of an inch should be fine. If only I had a bread knife. Look at that, but that looks good. That is homemade shit. I just heated up my cast iron pan to medium. Did I cut these too thick? I don't know. Don't really believe that there's such a thing. Yes, look at that. As you can see, I cut them about 3/4 of an inch to an inch thick. I'm gonna brush the breadcrumbs off of this cutting board really quick. Next up, you're gonna wanna get an olive oil that you respect. I'm gonna put some in this little dish situation, and then I got this little silicone spatula, and I'm just gonna lightly brush these with a little bit of olive oil. I don't wanna get too crazy because I don't want these to be too oily. Look at her. All right, so next I'm gonna toast these for about 2 minutes on each side. Keep an eye on them. While my toast is toasting, I am going to cut my peach. I just have a yellow peach here. Beautiful. I'm gonna cut this into thin slices horizontally. That is so ripe and delicious. I wish you guys could smell this through the camera. You just smell that toasted goodness from the olive oil. It brings out the flavors of the bread. You guys, the tomatoes are like, I don't even know what that means. This is how the tomatoes are looking. I don't know if you can tell, but there's a bunch of water that has been seeping out, which is great. It is almost time for assembly, which is very exciting. These tomatoes are looking amazing, so I am going to blot the excess water off of them and then transfer them onto another plate. Beautiful. Wow, you can't tell, but this is pretty heavy. It's full of water that it drew out from the tomatoes. All right, so next up, I've busted out my burrata out of the fridge. It's really hard for me to describe the texture of burrata. You just have to try it because it's not quite like fresh mozzarella. It's not like cream cheese. It's in its own category, I feel, but it's got a really nice, fresh texture. It is the perfect cheese for summer. If you haven't tried burrata, run, don't walk to your nearest cheese store and just buy it. Try it with toast or on pizza. I love it.